realized that Icke did not go crazy. And they're now being able to lift their heads up and say, that's my dad. You laughed at him, didn't you? But look at him now.
The conspiracy theory world is highly competitive, and ever since David burst onto the scene with his extraordinary new theory about the genetic origins of the shadowy elite, his fellow conspiracy investigators have been scandalized.
Now is the time! Not tomorrow! Not next week! Not next year! We're engaging an info war!
Everywhere I've been, meeting people who are trying to uncover the great conspiracy, the subject of David Icke always seems to come up.
So what's David Icke doing on TV?
We have a lot of different producers. You just get tired of the real meat and potatoes, the real issues. So he's gone for all the ridiculous Hollywood stuff of David Icke and the blood-drinking lizard people. So what does David Icke do? He talks about the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, these global elitists, these power structures, all real, all true, all demonstrated by bills and executive orders and prime ministers and premiers and presidents. All real, meat and potatoes, something you can bite into, something that is easily demonstratable. And then you've got David Icke at the end of all this. He says, by the way, they're blood-drinking lizards.
Who's going to have the guts to stand up on a stage and say that reptiles run the world? I mean, who's going to do it? No one's ever going to do it. We're never going to find out, are we? So, people were coming up to me and telling me how they had seen people, overwhelmingly in positions of power, though not always, turn in front of their eyes into a reptilian humanoid figure and then go back again. And of course you hear one and you think, ooh. And you hear two and you think, oh my God, back burner. You hear three, you hear four, you hear five, you hear six in different countries. Now these nodules on their head are something that come up again and again, and for some reason drinking human blood, particularly the blood of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, seems to be very beneficial to holding mammal codes open.
Blood, Al Gore needs blood to drink, so does Prince Philip. I mean, it's asinine. And it's being picked up by people, and so it discredits all of the reality people are talking about. And that's the problem with David Icke. He's got a good line to a point, and then he discredits it all. It's like a turd in the punch bowl. That's his job. He's got this nice big thing, you know, this nice fruit punch, nice ice cubes floating around in it, you know, and then he takes a big dump right in the middle of it, and no one's going to drink out of that punch bowl.
But is he in league with them to do that?
I think he knows what he has to do in a controlled world to get away with what he's doing and be given attention. And he's either a smart opportunist con man, or he's completely insane, or he's working for them directly. But I tend to think he's just a con man who understands how things works and is just a real opportunist.
It's 1 a.m. David has lectured for the last 6 hours, as he does most nights all over the world. During the past few nights, he's sold hundreds of copies of his lizard book, The Biggest Secret.
I just want to say I felt very inspired by it.
Right. Well, I do this all over the world, week after week after week. You know, I'm inspired by it. You know, we're moving so many books in the States now. Biggest Secret. Yeah. And the second edition is 20% better than the first. I mean, when things like this documentary go out, it's going to fly. Yeah. I'm as well known in South Africa now as I am in Britain.
Yeah.
Oh. God, I'm so knackered. I haven't seen you score a goal yet, JJ. Oh, no. Oh, here we go. Oh.
Come on.
Come on, Leicester against...
See if you can score against
Leicester against Liverpool. Oh, I've got to do it with this. It's a bit more style, isn't it?
David is not bothered by his fellow conspiracy theorists' antipathy towards him.
Oh, he scored!
He's a loner who doesn't need the approval of his peer group.
What's this going to be a market tomorrow, is it? See, exposing the world conspiracy and then selling fruit and veg.
But now there's some real trouble brewing for David, something that might even destroy him. This is the New York headquarters of the Anti-Defamation League, the world's most powerful Jewish defense organization. The ADL's job is to identify and expose anti-Semites.
Tell me what you know about David Icke.
I know that he about yearly makes a tour of the United States. He is a New Age guru. And unfortunately, his philosophy is tainted with anti-Semitism.
The Anti-Defamation League believe, although they're not entirely certain, that when David Icke says 12-foot lizards secretly rule the world, he's using code. And what he really means is that Jews secretly rule the world.
If David Icke is telling people that 12-foot lizards equal Jews, it would make me feel very much as if I had something to worry about if David Icke came to town, if he believes that his 12-foot lizards are Jews.
The question is, does he believe that? It's hard
That's a very good question. If he just believes that they're 12-foot lizards, there are probably reason to be concerned about his health. If he believes that they're 12-foot lizards who represent Jews, there's reason to be concerned for the health of the Jewish community.
Knowing what I do about David's past, my guess is that when he says giant lizards secretly rule the world, he really does mean lizards. But I could be wrong. These are old anti-Semitic cartoons from Eastern Europe, and there is something lizardy about the way the Jews are portrayed, encircling and enslaving the world. Is this a coincidence? And there's something else. David has many fans on the extreme right. The hardcore neo-Nazi unit, Combat 18, once attended one of his lectures in London and gave him a glowing review in their newsletter. It was a good speech, they wrote. He began talking about a big conspiracy by a group of bankers, media moguls, etc. He was always clever enough not to mention what all these people had in common. Salt beef sandwich, anyone? So the anti-racists are not alone in believing that when David Icke says lizards, he means Jews.
It does open up a whole can of worms about code words.
The Anti-Defamation League is really concerned about code words.
David's line of defense is clear. When he says lizards, he really is referring to lizards.
There is a tribe of people interbreeding which do not relate to any Earth race. It's not the Jews, it's not there's anything. Just look at me. This is not a Jewish plot. This is not a plot on the world by Jewish people.
Well, the thing is, when you say this is not a Jewish plot, some people think that's a metaphor for you saying it's a Jewish plot.
Are you going to laugh first or me? Who's disappearing up their arse, me or you?
You can't win this. This is part of the ludicrous attitude.
This is just total friggin' nonsense.
David Icke will put his hand to his heart and say, I am not an anti-Semite, I have the greatest respect for the Jewish people, but the Jewish hierarchy, like Muslim hierarchy, the Christian hierarchy, and so on, they're 12-foot lizards.
Right.
Does that make him an anti-Semite?
I think it does. I think it does. I mean, the fact is that that's a favorite way of dealing with anti-Semitism. I only dislike these Jews. I don't dislike all Jews. I just dislike these Jews. And somehow these Jews are the absolute epitome of what being Jewish means in the world.
For all the anti-Icke discord that exists in the conspiracy theory world, there is some solidarity when it comes to feelings about the Anti-Defamation League.
Any of us that are working to stop this New World Order, we're their enemies, and the best thing they can call us an anti-Semite, because then the whole world hates us. You say, anti-Semite, oh, that's the next thing towards Satan himself. I mean, that's like calling you Satan, you see. So that's the first thing they hit you with if you start talking against the New World Order, that you got to be an anti-Semite.
When you say they, who do you mean?
Anybody in what we call globalist.
My own feeling is that the ADL is an Illuminati front. See, in all these different religions and all these different belief systems and all these different cultures and races, the Illuminati have to have organizations, otherwise they're not controlling the game. There are areas that are unpredictable, and there's one thing the Illuminati can't stand. And I think their genetic structure is part of this. They cannot stand anything that's unpredictable. Last night was great, and the bookshop, Orderson, said they could have sold the tickets twice over in the end.
The more time I spend with David, the more I'm convinced that when he says lizards, he means lizards.
And I would emphasize, you know, we all have a reptilian part of the brain called the R complex, a very ancient part of the brain. We all have a reptilian past.